Welcome in the STEP training, Bale training for European professionals, Unit 7, and it's about planning a Bale house. So we take a closer look at what is in this online unit here. Architecture and planning of Bale buildings. So first, I just tell you that you have a link here to the handbook and all the dates. As you know, this training, you can do this training online the whole year, but it is also with trainer guidance, we will do it in 1 week um, together with all the participants of this or trainees of the STEP course. So if you look inside, if you look inside in this unit, you have here the main topics. It's about, we start with solar and sustainable architecture, solar architecture and sustainable architecture. Then we come to the concept of the house and the architecture, how to plan it, general, how to make a plan from the first draft to the permission plan, and what is necessary, for example, the energy certificate for building. Then we come to straw bale house construction plan. So this is the second part of the planning session. This will be more or less a exercise where you will construct a building of your own you developed on the first day, or you already have, or you get an example of a building you will construct in a certain technique. It's open in this course which technique you use, your preferred technique, but it's mainly to get familiar with SketchUp and the possibilities to import a floor plan and those things. And then we come to the house technique part. So the installation part, heating, cooling, ventilation, electricity. This is a little bit different to the first part. So the first part is more the passive solar and passive solar architecture, and the second part is how can we convert the energy in and use it in the most responsible and energy efficient way. And the last unit or the last session here is repairs and maintenance. So it's one thing, consists of two topics. One is that you care as a planner for not making mistakes or preventing mistakes, and if these mistakes are made, how you can repair it. So let's look at have a closer look on solar and sustainable architecture as the intro for this unit. Why it is the intro for this unit? Now, there are many principles, old ones, newer ones. Some are out of fashion and some will become fashion again, I'm sure, which are based on very old principles. So in my opinion, everything we invent, each innovation, each new technique is based on an old technique. It's just a little bit adjusting the screw there and there, then you have another new thing. But what we generally see that in the last years, we relied a lot on technical solutions. And I think for the future, to cope with the challenges of climate change, uh, it is necessary to find this balance between low tech and high tech, between using the free energy of the sun and converting it to something where we have uh, all over the year the best conditions for heating, warm water, or cooling in other countries. And this is why we start with solar architecture as a basis. The basic principles are still valid, and many of these principles are incorporated in more fashionable styles of architecture, like let's say passive house, or even in smart cities and greenhouses and all this stuff. So we try to get an overview about the principles. And when this is a presentation, the first presentation, then we look a little bit about the history of solar architecture. But in this case, it's a continuous path from passive solar architecture and the first ideas of integrating the sun in a solar concept of a city or a house, up to the more modern and the last examples are we show you some very high-tech solutions and some really modern low-tech solutions, which are awarded or outstanding in this history. So this is why we don't call that a history, we call it the story of solar architecture, and it is the story is up to now, so it's modern, absolutely modern. And then we come to another concept of sustainability, which took over many of the principles from solar architecture, integrates it in this term of sustainable architecture with a lot of different terms again, like eco house, eco village, sustainable house, smart city, and those things, green building, so many concepts which may be confusing, but they all are summarized under this sustainability aspect. And one of the measurements is these 17 goals and principles, which is also known as the Agenda 2030. It was a program set up by the United Nations in 2016. It started there and should guarantee until 2030 that we live, or at least plan, sustainable cities in the future. So how we can do that, and what we tried is to use these 17 goals and look at how they fit to the different principles of modern architecture. Then, so these are the three presentations. You see, this is the longest one here because it also deals with energy license, energy certificates, labels like LEED and BREEAM and DGNB in Germany and those things. And there are also labels for building products. So this is what we look if we want to build sustainable or to plan sustainable as the first step, then it's good to know all these labels, certifications, those things. And then you have here more or less more information about these topics. So the principles of solar architecture and the ideas and manifestos is here, the presentation, all these presentations, and then a summary, also a written summary. The story of solar architecture goes on with the history, starts with the history, and then questions high tech or low tech, and gives some examples for that, for low tech and high tech solar solutions, from sustainability to eco-city, incorporates these 17 goals, tells you what is necessary, or how, for example, in Bale Building, these 17 goals are already incorporated. We talk about energy license, labels, come to eco home and eco house and eco village and eco city definitions, and go on with some examples at the end. Then we have information about bioclimatic architecture, which is quite famous in some countries, but not all over. So it's more or less in more Mediterranean countries where it is a similar concept as the eco house concept, and but with some, yeah, especially climatic changes to more warmer climates like that. And then we have some extras like this is not graded and not tested. It's just an information to look deeper for some famous architects and the architecture and the history of architecture and the visions of architects about organic architecture, which includes here in the double meaning of the word organic, organic materials like earth or straw, and also the form, the organic form. So there we have put this in one unit, and there's a lot of information about that if you want to use that. Also wonderful videos. And then we have because it's quite famous also in Bale Building section about reciprocal structures, um, and some video examples as well for this introduction. With session 1, we come to the concept of the house. And this concept is consisting of the steps of the design process. So what is necessary from making the first draft and this conversation with clients or about their needs, about their budget, what is necessary that we come to a draft where everybody is happy with and can live with, and defines the basic principles of what you want to plan. And then we look on from the foundation to the finishes at the different parts of a building. We look at the details and how we can execute them and how they are drawn in a plan, for example, or can be integrated in a plan, because it's still architecture here and not the building unit. So what we need to understand of a ceiling or a gallery or a stair is how you plan it and how you can integrate in a permission plan, for example, and what is the area we need for all this stuff. The Bale house construction plan is more or less an exercise where you directly work in SketchUp or a similar program. If you work in SketchUp, it's exchangeable, and this is what we want in such a course. And this is why we use the free version of SketchUp, Make 2017. And you can do a plan for a new house or an old house, so wrapping or infill or cut construction, whatever you want. And we show you how to make such a construction plan in SketchUp, work with components. You get a template with the components. You get ready-made SketchUp plans, which you can look or change. And the extras here are if you want to make a model of your project, so real 3D model of your project, not on the computer, but in real life. This is, we show you here how to start with that and why it makes sense to do that. But you can also choose to make a rendering, a good presentation, which you see a lot on, if you look for modern architecture, this sometimes these renderings integrated in a landscape look like as if it was already built. And then you can try to place your project. If it's already in 3D, you can place your project in Google Earth. We show you that how this is possible. With session 3, we come to the house technique, so the installation, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electricity. You see here the overview of what it's consisting, so heating and cooling, thermal solar devices and hot water, the basics of biomass heating, especially in old buildings, because for modern buildings you will most probably use heat pumps. basics of ventilation, controlled and in this case also passive ventilation, wall and floor heating or cooling, because with these devices you usually can also cool in summer, the basics about chimneys, and all under this assumption. Again, we want to make a plan. So how do I plan it? What are the needs of area for certain devices I have in my house? Yeah, we come to basics of electrical and water installations and straw bale walls, because this needs a plan, also electrical plan and the installation plan. And then there is an extra if you want to go deeper in the basics of photovoltaic systems, but this is an open course on the Ecteco website where you can dig deeper in this topic. We just want to know how you can calculate the amount of photovoltaic cells, for example, on your roof. So to have this overview a little bit. And the last unit, again, as I said, repairs and maintenance, but it's again under this planning topic, to prevent the common mistakes. We don't want to show you the mistakes, just to, we want that you prevent it. So this is what we show you in this course or in this session. And then, okay, it happens, and sometimes you get an old house where somebody restored something in the absolutely wrong way according to building physics or air tightness or windproofness or moisture prevention or rain prevention like that, and how to repair those things in a mostly sustainable way. This is about Unit 7, and welcome to this course. If you want to try this course, send us an email, or you are already in this course. So I wish you a wonderful experience with this first part here of architecture and planning straw bale buildings and how to do that. Thank you for joining, and wish you good luck with the course.